Hello and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Dubeck here with Matt Dietrich, and things are heating up in Springfield and not in a good way. This week we just had the Illinois House, after a long debate with the Speaker of the House, Michael Madigan, in a rare appearance, speaking from his desk on the floor, voted on a millionaire tax, and it was defeated. It didn't get the 2/3 majority vote required, and so the Speaker placed it aside in a procedural move so that he could bring it back up again.
Right. For this to pass, it needed all 71 Democrats to vote for it because Speaker Madigan does have a veto-proof majority in the House in his party. But it's a bare supermajority. It's got to be all 71, and we knew that there were two members who likely would not vote for it because they are the same ones who last year expressed doubts about it.
Right.
And
Jack Franks and Scott Drury.
right.
Both
And
suburban.
And they both cast no votes on it, so it fell a little bit short of that 71. It could come back. We don't know at this point.
So this was all part of a couple of weeks of robust debate and fighting really over the budget crisis in Illinois and the pension crisis in Illinois. And the Democrats are working on a budget that they might vote on and send to the governor without his input or support, or the Republicans' input or support. And their speculation is that their thinking is that let's send him a budget and make him make
Right.
more cuts and kind of wear the jacket politically for making those cuts. He issued a rare public threat in an op-ed that appeared in your old newspaper,
Right.
the Springfield State Journal-Register. Tell us about that.
Basically, Governor Rauner said that he's disappointed in the way things are going. He reiterated what he's been saying ever since he got onto the campaign trail, that he is tired of the special interests in Springfield. He's tired of the entrenched politics, and he wants to see change. And if he doesn't see change, he basically says, be prepared for a long summer.
And made the point that, look, I know what I was sent down here to do, and I think that gets to the politics of this whole thing, because Democratic lawmakers who remain in the majority in both the House and the Senate feel like they know what they were sent down there to do.
Exactly
they have
right.
constituent groups who don't want to see these horrible cuts that would be necessary to bring the budget in balance, $6.2 billion. But on the other hand, the governor was elected statewide and on a platform of shaking up Springfield and changing Springfield.
Correct.
And so the governor said, get ready for an extra long session. The budget is supposed to be done, and they're supposed to adjourn in about 10 days or so, depending on when you're watching this, on May 31st. Sounds like it's very unlikely that that adjournment will happen and we'll go into an overtime session.
Right, and if it goes too long into overtime, then you risk that the state's not going to have a budget, and that's when you start talking about very serious things like government shutdown.
And, you know, lots of people say, well, the federal government's shut down before, so what big deal? These guys are just wasting our money. But in this case, what would it really mean? It would mean prison guards not getting paid,
Right.
and therefore not showing up for work.
It would mean basically a very crazy and chaotic way that the government would have to function from day to day once that goes into effect, and nobody wants to see that happen. Now, going back to the millionaire tax vote, you might say, well, what's the big deal if the budget is late? And the big deal is that after May 31st, it takes a
Right.
supermajority to pass the budget. In the past, that's all the Democrats have wanted to avoid that because that would mean they'd have to get some Republican votes on their budget. Now, this year it's a bit different because the Democrats do have 3/5 majorities. They could do anything they want on their own in theory. But as we saw today on the millionaire tax vote, they don't walk in lockstep, at least
Excellent
in the
point.
House.
Right.
And so I don't think that anybody wants to see this go into overtime whether they can put something together, given the vast philosophical differences that we're seeing here. And again, I've said this before, this is the first time that it's the first time in 12 years that we have a Republican governor and a Democratic legislature, but I think even more than that, it's the first time that you're seeing these kind of philosophical differences play out, where you have the Republican who really wants to establish that less government is better, and who is very, very much a free market Republican.
Right.
And you have a group of Democrats who have very large majorities in the legislature and are 180 degrees different in political philosophy from the governor. They believe that the government is there to help. And as Speaker Madigan has said over and over again, he's going to do everything he can to help the working class, the middle class. And this is what we're seeing in play now. And they've really, they've come to a deadlock as far as we can tell from the outside.
All right, so it looks like we're headed toward a screeching halt and some gridlock. Hopefully that won't be the case. We will keep watching and let you know. Thank you for watching Only in Illinois. We'll see you on the next edition.